G'day Bomber fans, we have a massive game this week. It's a huge match, genuinely a top 4 game. Essendon vs GWS, the winner spends the week in the top 4, the loser falls closer to the teams below. I would have thought this would be an easy GWS win looking at the fixtures at the start of the year, but we are looking like a pretty decent side. I'm really excited for this. This could be a good, close game of footy. It's going to be a fun preview for what should be a fun game, but before I get into it, some votes from the West Coast game to get through. So Merritt was the clear best on ground. He was miles ahead of the rest, and after him there was a really even race between Parish, Martin and Durham for the remaining votes, with Durham just losing out, but that works out because he got a vote from me anyway. We both agreed on Redmond as the role player, so he gets his first votes for the year. The overall tally, it's clearly in Merritt's favour. He's on 23 votes, double the amount of any other player. McGrath, Caldwell and Durham are close together. Mackay rounds out the top 5, and from there it's a logjam with 5 players just a vote away from each other. Keep the votes coming. So Essendon versus the Giants, 3rd versus 5th. As I said, the winner ends the round in the top 4. We could be as high as 3rd by the end of the round or as low as 9th. That is what at stake. It's a fantastic opportunity for us to really cement ourselves as finals contenders. It is this Saturday evening or late afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Marvel Stadium, yours truly in attendance. And the good news is I am 2 from 3 so far this year for Bomber games. Forget all the facts and figures you've seen the experts sprout. Essendon are going at a 66% win rate when Felix is in the crowd. So really the odds are in our favour. Let's look at our opponent, GWS, one of the very best teams in the comp. How should we expect to see them play? Well, the Giants are one of the best teams in the league for a reason, and if you're familiar with them and their play style, you'll know about the Orange Tsunami, which, to sum it up, is Collingwood-like surge out of defence. They go chips in, moving the ball forward, and it really does work a treat. They've scored the most in the league from their defensive half. They average 43 points per game from defensive half chains, which is just nuts. We haven't seen numbers like that ever, in years at least. Since 2020, they're actually one of 2 teams to average over 40 a game from the back half. So it's not just a fun tag, the Orange Tsunami, it is well and truly real, and on a deck like Marvel, it has the potential to be pretty lethal. And you look at the team as a whole, it's really well rounded across the board. The back line is one of the best in the comp in my eyes. Buckley, Iden, Whitfield rebounding, and Sam Taylor, who is in my eyes not just the best defender but one of the very best players in the comp. He is, if he was at a Victorian club, he would be a genuine star, not just now but for years to come. I really rate him. The midfield's really strong, the forward line's dynamic. Toby Green and Brent Daniels are dangerous on ground level. Jesse Hogan is right in the Coleman race. It's a team full of stars. They have a really strong defensive system under Kingsley, but also a really good attacking style as well. So how should we expect this game to play out, and how can we beat a genuine premiership contender? I think this could be a game of ping pong because both teams do like playing out of their back half, one more than the other. But under the Marvel roof, perfect conditions, you can expect this to be a red hot game based around gut running and disposal efficiency. The Giants will be licking their lips knowing that they are playing a club who has made a name for themselves in regards to transition defending, or lack thereof it. We have struggled to put a stop to defensive half transition in the last year or two, so this is a really good test because we've been good in the last few months, mostly because of our forward half pressure. So we will see if our game style holds up against really good teams like the Giants, who love that forward handball drive. They travel together in waves. I look at GWS and Sydney, fairly different teams, but I think we could see a similar result, a high scoring game, really open and free flowing, and I think if that was to happen, it probably favours our opponents. They are the better defensive half transition team, and based around recent history, we are one of the worst at defending it. So already that is one tick to GWS, and it's a big tick. They will be waiting for turnovers and bouncing from there when they get them, which they will. The Giants are going to get lots of opportunities to play out of their back half. It's a given when you have not only Jack Buckley but Sam Taylor on your team. Last year when they smashed us, they scored over 100 of their points from turnovers, which is just unheard of. Those numbers are even rare to see. I think an important factor in shutting out the powerful transition for both teams is forward pressure. It's how we've allowed ourselves to defend the ground better, putting the opposition under the pump in D50 so they don't have the luxury to exit well. Guelphy, Davey, Stringer, even guys like Caldwell and Hobbs, these have been defensively accountable players in our forward 50, and it's made it hard for their opponents to get that space. That needs to be a must on Saturday. If we fail in that regard, we lose. It's as simple as that. Lockie Whitfield, Lockie Ash, Perryman, Iden, Himmelberg, we need to make sure they have no space with ball in hand. And then on the flip side, we have to manage their pressure because it's going to be better than ours inside 50. Nick Martin and Andy McGrath will be crucial. Their composure as they're chased down by Green and Daniels and Toby Bedford. Even new guys like Darcy Jones and Harvey Thomas. They have some relentless young players that will chase us until their legs fall off. So we'll see how we handle that as a defensive unit. It's been okay this year, but this is a real test. And you go to the taller areas of both forward lines, they both bat deep. The Callum Brown suspension makes things easier because he has been very good, but but the matchup as a whole, you got Peter Wright, Langford and Jones going up against Hogan, Cadman and Riccardi. That is fascinating. I'm curious to see how those groups go against each other and how important it is for the rest of the game, whether or not the better performing trio plays a big part in the overall winner, because both forward lines are so dynamic. On ground level, we have Gresham and Stringer. They have Bedford and Green and Daniels. There are just so many ways for both these teams to score, and that's the fun thing. You can't just shut down Stringer and shut out all of our scoring, and same goes for us and any of their stars. So it's not only about what stars live up to the moment and influence as much as they can, but also about how every player in the system performs. You would have to say, though, on face value, their list and their forward line is ahead of ours. That's just a given. They're a better team, but ours is very dangerous. You can't discount it. The one area we should be looking at, and the one area that GWS have been vulnerable in for 2024, is contested footy. I say vulnerable, but they have won the contested footy in all but 3 games. But I just want to highlight those 3 matches that they've lost the count in, because it gives you the blueprint for how you can beat the Giants. The 3 teams they lost the contested footy count to are Carlton, Sydney and St Kilda, and they just so happen to be the 3 worst performing GWS games this year. They lost 2 of them and only just beat the Saints by a point. And in every game they won the contested footy, they have won comfortably. The smallest margin in any of those wins is 28 points against Gold Coast. If you beat the Giants in and under, win the contested count, make it a scrappy one in your favour, it goes a long way and it's a good chance to win the game. They're a hard team to beat in this regard. Tom Green, Cal Ward, Cornelio, Callahan, even Kieran Briggs in the ruck. They are some tough players, but we have to hope that Durham, Caldwell, Merritt and Parrish are on their level. For that reason, I think that there may be a slight advantage depending on one man, and that's Tom Green, because he is either not going to play or be a little bit underdone or unfit because of that recent ankle injury. He twisted it pretty badly against the Swans, and it's going to be a similar story for a few of their players. They are fresh off the back of a brutal wet weather loss. There will be some sore bodies. We can really bully them if we're up to it. I think we should be winning the midfield battle. Draper back, though, the 2 rucks against their Sol Briggs. I really hope Scott is drilling the importance of physicality into the boys, and we saw what the Giants looked like without Green. It took away so much of their inside strength. So if he is down from their best, it makes us a better team. We will see, though. He could be well up and about, playing at his best. He's a tough cookie. I don't know how important this is, but our form in Victoria is near perfect so far this year. We've played 4 games, won 3, drawn 1. GWS are yet to win in Melbourne, although it should be noted they've only played the 1 game against Carlton. But I think a huge factor with this game would have to be the crowd. Let's not beat around the bush. The Giants are a tiny team. They will make up about 10% of that Marvel crowd, if that. If we are a loud team, if the game is in our favour, we can really make them hurt. It's energy sapping to kick a goal, hear nothing, and then concede one just to be reminded that the whole crowd is against you. Although in saying that, it's just as bad, if not worse, to have 90% of the crowd silenced by the visiting team. We will know how we are playing based on the crowd, on how loud it is in the 4th quarter. The last thing I want to hear is a quiet Marvel Stadium, because that will mean the Giants are up and about and having their way with us. Danger players for both teams, starting with us. I'll say Ben Mackay. Obviously, Cal Brown is missing, which means after Hogan, their goal scorers are not amazing. Riccardi and Cadman are serviceable, but it means a lot is left on Hogan, who will have his work cut out for him with Ben Mackay. So he is a big player. Zach Merritt obviously is going to be important. He's currently one of the best in the comp. And finally, Sam Durham. If we want to win this game, and if we want it to be a hotly contested one, he is our man. He has been great this year. His contested footy, his clean hands, he's just been fantastic. As for the Giants, they have many. I'm going to start with Sam Taylor, who I cannot rate any higher than I currently do. I just think he's magnificent, and Wright will need to be really accountable on him, or Jones, whoever plays on him. Lockie Whitfield, their run out of defence starts with this guy. If he gets 30 to 35 disposals, we are in trouble. And finally, it might be obvious, but Toby Green, I wouldn't usually highlight him just because he's a star anyway, but he is out of form, which is usually what you would want to hear about opposition stars. But Toby Green is not the type of player that will stay out of touch for long. In the next week or 2, he is going to have a big game. He's going to explode. I just hope it doesn't happen against us, because a 3-vote Toby Green game usually indicates a win for the Giants. Some team news for us, it's nothing but good news. Caldwell should be fine to play despite being subbed off against the Eagles. Draper should return. Maybe Goldstein's rested. Maybe he comes in for a smaller player. Menzie and Reid are tests, but will probably return through the VFL if they do play this week. Some at-risk players, I'd say Davey Jr. probably won't be given another game. Ben Hobbs should be feeling the pressure as well, especially because Sartas and Shiel are both waiting in the wings. As for GWS, they will be without Callum Brown, who is suspended, and star mid Tom Green tweaked his ankle. He is now labelled as a test. He might not play, he might, but Stephen Cornelio should be coming in anyway after his rehab, so they could be getting some star power back. Look, I really do think we can win this game. Predicting this one is tough, because if we are on, we can can win. I'm actually weirdly confident about this game going into it. I don't think it's strange at all to tip us. I'm actually excited about the matchup a bit, but in saying that, I think the best of GWS could bring out the worst of us. The contrasting play styles are not favourable for Bomber fans. I think we're a real shot. We're a pretty good team this year, but the Giants are more than a pretty good side. They're going to love playing on this Marvel deck. If Tom Green is not available, I think we are more than a chance, but I think he gets up, and I think the Giants do too. I reckon they win by 10 points, but it should be a close game. Hopefully, it's in our favour. Leave your predictions down below. Keen to see how confident we are heading into this game. It would be a massive win if we could get this under the belt. But that is that. Preview done. Keen for this one. I was dreading it a bit when I booked the trip, but now that it's around the corner, I can't wait to see it. Should be a good game. Hopefully, we leave the ground with a smile. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, leave your predictions down below, and as always, go Bombers.